For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest from... You're from Lowell, Massachusetts, but you're not currently in Lowell. We have...
Andrew Marshall.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for jumping in. You know, I'm sure my sound engineer is going to be jumping in any minute because he heard the magic word. Massachusetts.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
You know, it's always quite funny. You know, he likes to call everybody from Massachusetts massholes. I don't know if that's his verbiage or if that's like a wide known thing in Massachusetts, but you know,
it's pretty common. It's just
okay.
Thing, you know, I mean, I don't think I'm a masshole, but you know, maybe someone else thinks I'm a masshole. Who knows? You know.
I gotcha. But once again, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. We really appreciate it. But first off, I want to kind of get to know you a little bit before we jump into anything super deep. So what's your origin story? What got you into music? You know, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a long-winded story, but we're on for the ride.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, probably, you know, growing up, I was always attracted to the stage. I saw, you know, some of my friends doing like theater productions and stuff. And then that kind of got me into doing some youth theater with my sister. And that was a lot of fun for a little bit. And then I took a break from that. And, but theater kind of brought me back into it too. Cause once it hit like middle school, that was when I was in the middle school was connected to my high school. So it was a big deal to do the musicals there because you had like a nice stage. And I was like, I never really tried to sing in front of people during the older theater stuff. It was just kind of like, I was a little too scared, but I was like, all right, it's my first chance. My sister's not here. I can do it. I think I can do this. And, you know, that's how I started, you know, doing theater and getting involved in just performing. Always did music growing up. I was in the band, did saxophone, that kind of thing. Had a guitar since I was younger, even though I didn't play it that much. But the theater definitely helped me like propel me into the desire to write music and, you know, perform it because I was like Danny Zuko in Grease. And that was just so much fun to just, you know, just do that. Those classic songs, everyone knows them. So I was kind of doing it throughout high school. You know, I picked up a guitar, started playing at like the talent shows and stuff like that. But honestly, the biggest pivotal moment in my life that really got me thinking about it seriously as a career was back in my junior year of high school. Junior year, I was, you know, doing what juniors do, you know, taking a lot of classes and, you know, trying to figure out my future and be like, college is coming. I got to get as good of grades as possible. And everyone's competing against each other, like cutthroat, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I ended up getting diagnosed with leukemia. So I'm a leukemia survivor. Thankfully, I've been I've been in remission for a while, but I've been done with treatment for over a year and a half now. But yeah, that whole situation kind of brought light to what I really wanted to do. I have a lot of great people in my life, you know, especially like shout out to my doctor who helped, you know, I saw her role in my recovery and her passion, and it made me want to, you know, follow a career path that I felt like I could put that same kind of passion behind because, you know, long story short, I had a leukemia test that was false negative. And, you know, no one knew what was going on with me. It wasn't even symptoms of leukemia. And it ended up not being, ended up being something else that they actually never could have deciphered. And my doctor at the time was like, you know what, something's really fishy about this. I think we should test one more time for leukemia. Like, I don't know, I'm just feeling it. And everyone else was like, you know what, nah, I think he just has like some viral form of hepatitis or something. Obviously they weren't like, nah, they're professionals, but you know, that's kind of what I got from them. And then, you know, it took me a couple months to realize it, but like her finding the leukemia then, which was in such an early stage, like I wouldn't have gotten any symptoms of that for another year and a half. And then we could have been looking at a wholly different ball game. Like it could have been, I could have been in a lot greater risk of,
Yeah.
you don't know what could happen. So,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that all the time. And I saw that and I was like, you know what, got to do something that, if I'm put in the situation, like I'm just going to want to keep doing it,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how that was going to potentially save someone's life, but I wanted to have that opportunity with a career like that. And I think I'm almost done, but
Oh, you're good.
my last little bit of that is that, while I was in treatment and doing that kind of thing, when I couldn't play guitar, when I couldn't sing, I was listening to music. That's all I was doing. I was listening to my heroes, and I was listening to John Mayer, and not only just him ripping guitar solos, but I was listening to his lyrics, and his lyrics just like helped me get through everything. I was like, you know what, like there's quite a few songs off his Born and Raised album, which is my favorite album, that like, you know, just like got me through it. And it's just like, yeah, things are going to be okay. And, granted that was a different situation for him that he wrote those songs about, but I could feel it. And I was like, there it is. Like, I need something that can help people. Like my doctor helped me, and it is music. It's possible, just like writing and performing. And I can be that John Mayer to me, so that's how I kind of got into it. And then I just, from then on, majored in music in college, and I've been, pushing, trying to do original music and gigging as much as possible since then.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And have to kind of relate to you on a little bit of a level. My dad just went through some cancer treatment himself, and one of the places he was looking at going was up in Boston. I believe it was like MIT or something, like their medical facility there. So I feel like being in Massachusetts there, you probably have some of the best medical stuff that you can, like not knowing what kind of treatments you had to go through for leukemia, because I've never been through it, so I'm not 100. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I'd imagine Massachusetts is probably a really good place to be as far as like medical facilities go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mass General is one of the top hospitals in the world. I
Yeah,
don't know what it's ranking right now, but there was a time where it was, either number one or up there. I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
Mass General is where I got treated. And I mean, there's a ton of great hospitals. There's Boston Children's. There's, I could start listing. I mean, I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but,
yeah,
Mass General, yeah, was, phenomenal to me. My mom works in Mass General. My sister works at there. They're both nurses. So, yeah, I agree. I'm definitely blessed to be in Massachusetts, getting that treatment for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you've got your music going on now. You're doing not quite full time because you're still in school, correct?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess all musicians are full time right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know how to classify it right now with COVID and all that crazy stuff. But is that something that you have to take like extra precaution with at the moment? Are you at a higher risk of contracting COVID,
You
or
know,
are you
Fortunately, I'm not,
okay?
and that's something like right when it started, that's immediately what I thought of though, too. I mean, for not only for myself, but, other people, I know so many people that have either gone through treatment or are going through treatment right now. And it's scary, it's honestly terrifying because there were times, when COVID wasn't around that I was wearing masks around, and when I was, trying to hide from other people or not go out because I didn't want to be exposed to anything, being neutropenic or, you know, it's scary. You can literally
Yeah,
contract like that. And so that's where I think, if anyone's watching this, I mean, if there's any incentive to wear a mask right now and be vigilant about that kind of stuff. I know it's awful. Believe me, I had to do it when, no one else was doing it, you know,
mhm,
be, at least you got everyone else doing it with you. You can kind of rally together. But it's
yeah,
so scary because there's so many people that are still, scared to go into Boston, scared to go into the hospital to get their treatment. And, it's awful, but, it's crazy.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so blessed that I'm not doing that right now, though. I'm so blessed. But to anyone else that is, we got you. We're doing what we can for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, are you? Where do you go to school again?
I go to school at UMass Lowell.
Okay. And are they going to be opening up in the fall time, or is it all going to be pretty much online, or have you not heard anything yet?
Yeah, we've gotten some stuff. It seems like they advertise like 25% of classes aren't going to be virtual, but all for as of right now, all of my classes are virtual, which is kind of a bummer, you
Yeah.
know, because music, how are you going to make
Yeah.
music over Zoom?
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully with the whole summer to prepare, the coursework will be a little bit more organized. that was kind of
Yeah.
the one sad thing, is that, I had some classes I was really interested in last semester. And once COVID hit, it was like some of them fell off, some of them, excelled with the online aspect, some did.
Mm.
So I'm just fingers crossed. It's actually my last semester of classes this
Oh,
fall.
it's your last
Yeah.
semester?
Yeah. Cause then next spring I'll just be doing internship stuff, and I'm hoping to, be out in Nashville. That's the goal. So
Yeah.
kind of
Awesome.
crazy. Don't get to say goodbye to anyone. So, but we'll try our best for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you just released your sophomore, it's a EP, correct? Growing Pains.
Yeah.
Um, that released June 26th. For whatever reason, when I went on your Facebook page, I was looking at the ad on it, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what it says, and I'm like, for whatever reason, I just couldn't put two and two together. And then I look directly right below it, and it was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Wow. Okay.
Are you
Uh,
talking? Are you talking about the banner page,
yeah, the banner page. I'm just sitting there like,
the cursive?
I'm like, does that say grieving pains? Does that say like? I'm just sitting here like, and then I scroll like not. I don't even hardly scroll. I just look down like a half an inch, and I'm like, oh, growing pains. Okay, I'm an idiot. I'm
No,
done.
no, you're not. I
Good night,
mean, my
everybody.
handwriting isn't phenomenal in cursive, so I mean,
Okay.
I was trying to the amount of times I tried to get those to make it kind of look cool, because I could
Yeah.
make it look really neat, but that wouldn't look like a signature, So I
Yeah.
was like,
No,
when I,
once I finally realized what it said, I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Because it's like, I didn't know if it was like your authentic handwriting or if it was like a sketch artist that did something. But no, it was a really cool idea. So what was the process when sitting down to select songs for this EP?
yeah, I think it was a combination of because there's some other songs that I would have loved to put on this, but it was a matter of time, and which songs were ready, kind of. So I mean, my first project was released 2 years ago, and it's great growing and working with people, and I've been blessed to be working with people that I go to school with or that I know personally. But we definitely hit a lot of hurdles along the way. There was different avenues we took. The first EP I did was just all acoustic, so like this one I definitely wanted to like have that full band sound, have it be a little different. And so I didn't there were times where I was like, oh, I want like 6 songs on this one, but at the end of the day, like, we only had the opportunity to get these 3 together because we had recorded one of them last year. We recorded Fate all the way last year, and the other 2 songs, my friend was doing his senior project as a sound recording major, and he's like, hey, I need a group, like, do you want to do some songs? And I was like, yeah, I got these 2 songs, and the band that I was working with knew them pretty well, so we went in on that. But that's kind of how we picked it. It was just the songs that I had already practiced with my band. Fate was always one that I wanted to do, and then Hurt Someone and Let You In were ready to go on with the band. And I was like, he only needed like 2 songs, so that's kind of how it happened. So what I'd like to put more music on, and of course there's like probably 2 or 3 other songs that were wrote in that period that I still play out, but I just didn't have the opportunity to record the way I wanted to.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And w- so Fate was the single that came off the EP.
Mhm.
Why did you choose that song to release as the single?
I think it was just my favorite song off of, actually, I don't know if it was my favorite song off. I'm saying something and taking it back, but I thought it was the most produced well. Like, I put me and my friend Dom worked on it. He recorded it and mixed it with me, and I just remember having so much fun producing that because we put harmonies in there, we put cool backgrounds, and I just felt like out of all 3 works, it was the most like congealed with stuff. And I was like, this is something that I think will, like, people will listen to and like their ears will catch on to it. I love the other 2 tunes too, and I think Let You In has the perfect instrumentation, and Hurt Someone sounds great too. But Fate had that it factor that I felt like if someone were to listen to that, they'd be like, oh, what's that? And that was with like the harmonies and the reverbs and stuff that we put on, that we carefully put on. So that was kind of the rationale behind that. I just figured that was going to be standalone, going to sound like a song that fits together. Whereas the other 3, I mean, the 3 together, they fit together good, but I didn't know if they were going to be able to, go off on their own as a single.
Mm, gotcha. And so is the plan like once COVID kind of loosens up and studios open back up, are you looking at maybe doing like a full length or
Yeah.
what's kind of the plan moving forward?
So actually, I'm hoping to get into the studio like sometime next month and
Mhm.
do like something around 6 or 7 songs. We'll see what my pocket allows me to do, my wallet.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I definitely got an urge to continue to put out some more music, and definitely, this was I consider this project kind of like a coming out again. I'm here, I'm back. I'm still here, that type of thing, because it's been so long since I released music. But now I want to up that and like support that, what I just put out, and just be like, hey, no, I'm really here. This is my, and I hope that's going to be the most professional thing that I've ever put out. Really full market plan type, that with music videos and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really looking forward to that. It's got a lot of different music on there, different styles. So I don't know if it'll be a full length album or just a really long EP, but either or,
Yeah.
it's going to be 5 to 6 more songs that the world hasn't heard before. So
Yeah. Definitely think this day and age, those terms have become a lot more fluid with what you
yeah,
with what you can release. Because I mean, for the most part, most people nowadays are just releasing singles because they're looking for the Spotify play. They're building stuff on Spotify, and it's like single, single, single. That seems to really be what hits well on Spotify. So like I mean, I think those terms are pretty fluid nowadays.
absolutely, yeah. Um, it's yeah. I mean, single structure is probably the best way to go in terms of promotion. So I think that with this project, I'll do a couple singles, maybe 2 or 3.
Mm.
Because then you have more content coming out. Because it's content's king on everything. I feel like everything that I've experimented with on social media and stuff. It's like, one good piece of content's not gonna attract a lot of audience. But if you do like spread that out weekly, every couple days in terms of posts. But then if we're talking songs, like obviously the same thing. It's like if you got a song a month or something like that leading up to a project, there's gonna be a lot more hype into that project. So I do agree. I mean, I think as artists, we want to have these huge projects. We want to have a full length because that's just the artist in us.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of have to play both sides and realize what's the best way that we can get this music to as many ears as possible. And I think combination of those two things is really important, and a strong marketing plan behind each of those singles and then up into that album is
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But looking at your setup, just from my angle, it looks like you got a pretty decent setup. I'm kind of surprised you're not doing some in-house DIY single type releases on your own. Just kind of seeing your mic and then just seeing the setup that you have in front of you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get into that a little bit more for sure. I'm definitely making my own demos at
Mhm.
home, but there's definitely a lack of knowledge in terms of like working in that interface, the DAW, and figuring that kind of stuff out. That's the goal eventually. I'd love to eventually have a space where I can just pretty much do everything, maybe not drums in a room, but there's definitely a lot of like, I'm in my basement right now, and there's a boiler right over there, like across other side of the wall. So if that turns on, you got to make sure that's off when you're recording. And there's been times where I forget to turn it back on, and then the house gets really cold, and then I pretend it's not me, but it was me. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm fortunate to have like this equipment with me, and I'm trying to experiment with that as much as possible as well. Doing YouTube stuff and doing audio,
Yeah,
um, and starting to live stream on Twitch to try to explore those
yeah.
different avenues.
Now, what are you doing on Twitch? Are you doing just like performances, or are you playing like video games? What are you doing on Twitch?
So I actually, it's funny that you asked, because I literally am like experimenting this week. I haven't announced it at all that I'm going to be on Twitch. I'm trying to do mainly music. There's a growing music platform on there, which is really, really cool. And honestly, the community is amazing. Just the people that I've connected with already. But I'm trying to figure it out. I'm on a MacBook, so that thing does not like Twitch very well. I
Yeah.
was, earlier today, I was trying to, I'm hoping to do like a couple shows where I'm doing like requests and original stuff, and people can like tell me what they want to hear, and just communicating with people like that. So shows like that, and then also music production. I just wanted to like use it as an opportunity to learn and grow, and put my production out there. Hope people can show me if I'm messing things up, or learn with me. And that's kind of how I see it. And maybe some other things, or maybe who knows, maybe I'll do some Minecraft or something, I don't know. But like, that's definitely the focus. And I think that, again, that community is growing, and I'm hoping to be a part of it eventually. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the really cool thing about exploring all the new social media stuff that's out there is because it could be whatever you want it to be. You could literally like if you want to go on and do Twitch streaming and all that stuff, it's like I can go, like, if you're a musician and you like playing video games and want to play PUBG or whatever, like whatever
Yeah.
you want to do, so have you, have you started experimenting with, TikTok at all? Yep, that's what I was looking for, TikTok.
TikTok. Um, I
Or do
should.
you have a love-hate
I,
relationship
I
with
have a love-hate relationship with TikTok. It's definitely one of those platforms that I want to be more present on. I'm not really present at all on it right now. It's one of those things that requires that constant posting to it if you really want to get a chance at going viral. And then you got to convert those people to your other social media accounts. And I think there is a place for music on Twitch. I mean, not Twitch, TikTok. I've seen it. But usually when I'm on there, it's a lot of other stuff. And I feel like if I dedicated time every single day to make a couple TikToks to post,
Yeah.
then something could catch fire a little bit. And I'm not taking that off the table, but for right now, my main concern is just keeping my Instagram up, keeping my Facebook up, keeping these platforms that I know have my fan base right now, and making
Yeah.
sure that content is being filled. Because I mean, I got a lot going on, unfortunately, as a student. So it's like, I'm doing an internship, I'm doing a summer class, and then I'm going to be in classes this fall. So it's, as much as I'd love to be on every social site, and
Yeah.
maybe I kick myself in like 6 months when like a ton of musicians get huge off this, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll see. I mean, I'd love to be on it. I think it's definitely another opportunity. I think Twitch works out for me because not only am I getting that discoverability that you get with TikTok, because it's not the type of platform that is just completely driven by your content being insanely good,
Mhm.
but I'm also able to work on stuff. I think it's
Yeah.
like multitasking almost. I can produce my demos that I'm going to send to my band so that they know what the song sounds like, or
Yeah.
I'm going to be practicing songs that I'm probably going to gig with that weekend,
Yeah.
and all while creating a community. So I think that for me is like, all right, win-win right there.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how TikTok fits in there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one thing that I really like about the idea of Twitch and doing like the live streaming stuff is because you're getting that content out there and it's not the multiple hours of production. It's the, okay, so you and I are sitting here, let's say we podcast for 45 minutes. It took us 45 minutes to get that piece of content out. Like it's all very real time. So, like that whole idea is what really attracts me about doing the live streaming and like Twitch and all that fun stuff. But
Yeah, me too, totally. I think it's such a cool platform. And I love that connection. And I think it's important. I mean, like, as a brand, you're not only gonna just be um, your music. You're gonna be what you do. You're gonna be, what other hobbies you do. And so it's a good way for people to connect and get to know who you are.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you'd kind of talked about this a little bit beforehand. You'd mentioned that you play out gigs a lot. Are you starting to get more gigs coming back now that COVID's kind of starting to dip, but not really, or things are starting to open back up? Are you still playing a little bit, or?
Yeah, fortunately, I got a couple venues that I, have a good connection with already from the past, and I reached out to them back in June. And so, they gave me that option when they started playing a lot of outdoor stuff. So, I'm playing some breweries and some restaurants and stuff, mainly, those kind of gigs, cover gigs, but it's good to be out there. It's good to be making money and, getting the rust off a little bit. So I'm not gigging nearly as much as I used to because I'm
Mhm.
in a wedding band too. So I do a lot of weddings, but obviously
Yeah,
weddings are not a thing right
yeah,
now, but I can't complain. It's been good for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So is like when there isn't a global pandemic going on, how often would you usually get out to play? Is it just straight permanently weekends, or how often do you get out to play?
Yeah, I mean, my weekends, I mean, there's not many weekends that I don't have a gig usually, which is, I'm blessed for that. Absolutely. And that's mainly because that wedding band, I mean, especially during wedding season, we have one like every single weekend, if not two or three. But,
You
and then
said
I'll
wedding.
film, yeah, weddings, a lot of weddings. And then we'll
No, no,
film.
no, no. When you said wedding season, my head automatically went to the Wedding Crashers, and I was just like, "It's wedding season." Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, it's true.
yeah,
Um, So yeah, during that season, then that goes all the way till January, essentially, early January. Every single weekend, at least you have something. And then you got Christmas parties and stuff. But then I'll fill in my solo gigs, and then fill in my original gigs. So Those will usually take up any night that I don't have it. So it could be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It could be
Yeah.
a Thursday. Sometimes I do Wednesdays. I mean, it's mainly those weekend times. I don't gig a ton during the actual week though.
Yeah, gotcha. Do you pretty much stay in like Massachusetts, or do you like to travel out as much as you can?
I play a decent amount in New Hampshire, and
Okay.
it's mainly Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And then the wedding band will take me all across New England. We play in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. We've played in Arizona. We played there once last year.
Oh wow.
The bride and groom flew us out to Phoenix. And it was really cool in February. I'd never been there, so
Were they from Massachusetts somewhere?
yeah.
Or?
Their other daughter had gotten married with our wedding band like years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
Not when
Got
I was in the band, and they were like their other daughter, was getting married. She was an older bride, so like she was like, we really want something that's gonna be great. A select amount of people. It was a destination wedding because they lived in Arizona.
it.
So, but she was floored. It was super fun. It was a good wedding. Can't complain. I
Yeah.
got some Sedona.
That's super awesome though, getting flown out for a
Yeah,
wedding gig. Like how yeah, that's
doesn't happen that often. That was the only time it's ever happened. So I don't
yeah,
I don't think that's gonna happen again in my life. But
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So kind of m- moving forward with this pandemic, are you doing anything to kind of challenge yourself creatively as far as like experimenting with new sounds or maybe drawing from new influences or learning to play the theremin? I don't,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I'm always searching for new music. There's a lot of music I love to make, but I don't think I ever write like that. Some people that I listen to, but definitely challenging myself. I think the hardest thing is just scheduling yourself during this pandemic. I
yeah,
mean, it's like, when you're seeing the same white or gray walls every day, things can kind of, get sidetracked. You forget to do things or you don't have energy to do things. And I think that's something that I've been struggling with, all of the months that this has been going on. But it's a constant, check yourself type of thing, but trying to practice more, play more, really work on my original stuff and work on promoting myself as an artist. And I think for the most part, it was a blessing in disguise because I was gonna release this thing anyways, and I definitely put a lot of energy that I probably wouldn't have been able to do had I still been, in school or not around or
yeah,
quarantined. So I mean, some silver linings. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this kind of dissolving, but
yeah.
now I'm just trying to remind myself that I got this space. Not everyone has a space that they can make music in, and might as well do what I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny when you brought up the whole scheduling yourself time to do certain things. It's like, yeah, like looking back, it's like I can't imagine or I can't believe how many times I told myself during this pandemic, it's like, all right, I want to get this done by Thursday. And then Thursday shows up. Oh, well, I've got like another week before I really have to do that. And then that whole week goes by and it's like, wait, and then I just keep pushing it off because I know I've got all this time on my hands to just kind of
Yeah, no,
do what I want.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm the same way. Absolutely same way.
Yep,
You're preaching to the choir.
yep, yep. So, um, one thing that we really like to do here on Live and Amplified is we like to pass on knowledge to the younger musicians, people that are getting ready to get started. So, as a musician that is pretty much you just recently really started getting back into music after your leukemia treatments. So as far as like just general advice for somebody that's getting started, what kind of advice would you have for a younger musician?
I would say just do it. I tell this to everyone. I mean, I think the biggest, example of that is the fact that I didn't release music for 2 years. And I mean, can't go back now, but I'm definitely kicking myself because every time you put something out, you have an opportunity to grow from that. And if you obsess over being perfect, whether you're producing it in your room or your friends producing it for you, if you obsess over it sounding a certain way or sounding like that record, it's never going to sound like that, and you're going to be chasing this perfection that's not attainable. But if you release it and you like learn like, oh, either in terms of the recording itself, you learn how to get that better next time, or the marketing of it, you learn how to market that better. But then people are seeing you're doing it, and I think, the biggest dagger to me this past semester before I released Growing Pains was someone came out to me and like, they were like, "Oh, Andrew, like, do you still do that music thing?" I don't
Mhm.
think it's the music thing, but like, I was like, Yeah, I mean, every day it's on my mind. Every day I'm trying to figure out when I can release this music, and like I play every single music's on my mind 24/7. So like though I understood where they were coming from, I was like, oh my gosh, man, like I just wish I put stuff out. And I'm already seeing it. Like I see some of my friends that are musicians too, and like they ask me that same question, and I told them that, and I'm seeing them put stuff out, and it's looking great, better every single time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, let's go, let's go. I'm so excited. I love seeing other people put stuff out like that. It's just so exciting, and I'm just hoping to hop on that train because like my stuff's not perfect either. I mean, like I try my best, but I got to keep that mentality going myself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What would you say in the time between your first album and your second album, what's what's the biggest change you've seen in your music, or how has your music changed over that time?
I really searched like inside for this Growing Pains EP and a lot of the music that I've written since then. My biggest critique of my first EP was that I liked the music a lot and I was proud of what I was writing, and I was like, this was a really good introduction for me to understand that I have this ability to write and like I can believe in my songwriting. But I really, at that time I was halfway done with my I was in maintenance, which means I looked pretty normal, but I was still going in for monthly treatments and stuff, and I was still doing school and stuff. But I wanted to express the things that I'd gone through, especially with my treatment, all the scars mentally, physically, or the battles that I went through, certain situations, people that came and went in my music, because I felt like, I can write these cheesy love songs, but like at the end of the day, no one's gonna listen to that and be like, wow, that changed me. And for me, the music that changed me the most was that stuff I was listening to in the hospital, that like those lyrics just like hit me like a freaking brick wall. And I wanna write just like that. I wanna write so people can feel something. And so with this EP, I really tried to hone in on stuff. And like I still listen back to that song, that music, and it takes me, I'm like, damn, I really hit it. Like, I was so happy that I could hit that emotion right on the head. And I just hope that that can portray to other people too. So that's the biggest difference. And moving forward as an artist, that's all I want to do. I want to just speak through my writing. I mean, I want my playing to be there too, but I want my stories to be told, and I want people to connect to them in a way that they can feel secure that other people are going through it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then kind of moving forward, what's like once obviously the plan is to get through this last semester and then go into your internship to move to Nashville. Is the plan to stay in Nashville? Is that the ultimate goal? Or what's the plan moving
That
forward?
that is a question that we will definitely figure out. I don't know. I mean, Nashville could be the best thing ever. I could stay down there and make some good connections and progress as a musician. Maybe I go down there and it's not what I want, and then I come back to Massachusetts or I go somewhere else. When I've been down there and I've connected with people, it seems like a place that I can grow.
Mhm.
And it's not that there's a lot more growth that I can be had here in New England for sure, but going down there, I just feel like, wow, there's so many like-minded people that I can just connect with and write with and learn from. And so that's kind of what attracted me to Nashville so much, is just those opportunities. Um, but I don't know. I think the future is yet to be told or written. I'm just trying to follow. I always say wherever the water feels warm, go that way,
Yeah.
because you never know. If you have this huge idea of exactly how things are going to happen in the next six months, year, whatever, your reality is going to check you real hard, and you're going to be disappointed. And I think that if you have your heart in the right place, and my heart is just, I love to make music, in any way, shape, or form. I'd love to eventually make this like my full-time thing. If original music can be my full-time thing, that'd be amazing. But there's so many aspects of music I love. I love the business. I love that kind of stuff. So wherever I can chase that, and Nashville seems like a cool place to definitely try that out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And having that open mind to just kind of go with the flow is something very unique and something to hold on to, because I talk to a lot of musicians, and a lot of them say, or a lot of them just want to go to Nashville because that's where they feel like they'd have the best opportunity, and that's where they want to stay, which is cool. Like, Nashville's an awesome place. I've been there a few different times, but until you live there and you're in in the trenches every day in Nashville, you're never really going to know what Nashville is really like. And it took me moving to Florida to find that out. Like I had moved to Florida because I was like, okay, I want to live here, and I'm gonna move here, and I'm gonna stay, and I'm never leaving. And I was there for 2 years, and I was like, nope, this isn't what I want. I'm leaving. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's good on you to be able to like identify that that place is not good for you and go somewhere else. And I only hope that I can do the same thing. I think that takes courage to just pick up your stuff and move.
yeah.
Um, but I think, yeah, I'm definitely going to hit a culture shock down there. It's going to be different.
Oh yeah.
Excited for that kind of difference. A little scared. I'm not gonna know as many people that I do up here, but I definitely, it feels right. It feels like a good move for me, at least for the short term, to kind of figure out if this is the place. And that's and yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm sure there's a lot of people that go down there and just expect that, same thing with New York or LA, that like you go there. But I've always had that kind of mentality that like, even now it's kind of hard to convince myself to go to Nashville because I'm like, well, did I do everything that I could do here? And I always believe that it's like, don't change markets if you haven't hit that market yet.
Yeah.
There's a fan base to be had in Boston. There's a fan base to be had wherever you are. And I think it's really important to be able to dominate that, or at least, have some success in that before you go and just be like, oh, I'm going to go to that place instead because that's a bigger music scene, because it's like, what's the proof that you can do it there if you can't do it here?
Yeah. Well, and to kind of push back on that a little bit, it also has to do because I grew up in the South Side of Chicago, so like there's plenty of opportunity for me to grow there, but the vibe just wasn't what I was looking for, especially like where I was growing up or where I was living at the time. It was very industrial. Like our entire economy was based on the steel yards, and so it was very like blue collar type of stuff, and it's like, no, this isn't really what I want to be doing. And so then I recognized that, and when I left for college, I haven't been back since. So it also, you have to also look at, okay, yes, there's a market to be had in Boston or in New York or in LA, but if it's not, doesn't match your personality or your like the vibe that you're going for or the vibe that you get off, you know, it's probably a good idea to kind of change your surroundings. You get, does that make
Oh,
sense?
absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've adapted now.
Yeah.
Like I think, and when I said that, I think I was, that's more of like what I was thinking, as a younger person. I think
Yeah.
not a younger person, I'm young, but like a couple years ago. And I think now that I totally agree with you. Like after seeing Nashville or seeing other places and realizing that that atmosphere might be better, not like letting myself understand that, okay, maybe this place that I'm at right now is maybe not the best place potentially for me to grow. And I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we kind of start walking towards the end of the podcast here, what's what's next? Where do you want to take your music? What are you hoping to get out of your internships in Nashville? Like what's the next step for you?
Well, the next step for sure is definitely, this next project. I'm excited. I'm terrified. I need to put a lot of work into it, but I think, like I said, that I want to stick to the advice that I give. And that
Mhm.
advice is just doing it. I think that I'm only going to learn to be a better artist, be a better writer, be a better producer, everything, if I just keep doing it. And I think that, fortunately, this project is part of my directed study this fall with the chair of my department. We arranged it last spring. So I have someone drooling over me saying like, you got to get this done if you want to graduate. So I think that's a really good incentive for me to really work and put my best into it, and work with him and use his knowledge as well. And then in terms of for moving forward, I'm not sure. We'll see what the next internship leads me, and where I'll apply and who accepts me. But
What are
yeah,
you what are you officially studying in school?
music business.
Music business? Okay. So that's probably more along the lines of what the internship would be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fortunately, I'm interning right now, getting some publicity, insight on that kind of stuff and experience with that. we'll see where, the fall comes, and you have to get that credit internship for my college because they wouldn't let me do it now. My college is weird like that, but that's okay. We'll see. I think that you should definitely have sights on different goals and stuff, but I think it's really important to, swing with the punches and see where life takes you. But that, I'm trying to just continue to grow as a person, continue to grow as a writer, and just keep pushing myself, because I think that when you do those little things every single day, you look back and you're like, wow. I mean, like, my dad shared something today. It was like 3 years ago, I did my first gig at a coffee shop for like $50. And that was my first paid gig. And
you got paid at a coffee shop? Usually that, like, I'm so used to that being just like a tip only.
oh, I know, I was lucky. It's a great little coffee shop. Shout out to the Commune Cafe if they're listening. They gave me my first real gig that was outside of my school and stuff, And you don't look back enough, but like, if I look back 3 years, like, it's insane to be in this position right now. It's insane to have this equipment around me that I was able to finance by, working and doing my gigs myself. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, and gigging and being in a wedding band and putting out original music, I didn't have that. If you asked me in high school, that sounds like amazing. And you just got to keep moving, and hope for the best, and hope if you miss, line up and take another shot.
Yep, absolutely. What's the biggest lesson you've learned going into the studio to record growing pains?
Ooh, money talks. That's what I would say. Money talks. Because, I think it's important to, work with your friends and that kind of thing, but it's also important to, reward them for that. And, it gets your deadlines where you need them to be. And I think that, I've worked with a lot of great people, all the people that I'm probably going to work with next project too. But I've tried to, I think it's important to, compensate them for the work that they're doing. And with that, you're going to get a better product. You're going to get your things done when you want them to get done. And it's not that I didn't want to pay them. I just, it just was, it started as a passion project. We worked together. We're like, oh, it'd be sick if we did this. And I think now moving forward, now that like I have the opportunity to pay them, I'm so excited to do that because they deserve it so much. They do so much great work, and it's only going to enhance that work moving forward. So, any lesson that I can give out to people is that if you have money to compensate people for what they're doing, pay them. You're going to get a better product from that. You're going to get a better deadline for that, and they're going to want to work with you again. So that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned from that. For sure.
Yeah, and that's something that not a lot of people think about, especially in the very beginning of your music career when you don't have a lot of money, and just like you're asking friends for favors, or so like, just if you have somebody that's willing to bust their butt and you ever get to the point where you can really pay them, that's
absolutely. And it's kind of weird to bring up money and that kind of thing, but I do think it's important. I think it's a lesson that people don't always talk about. I mean, if you're trying to make music, you got, at the end of the day, someone's putting labor in, they deserve to get paid. You deserve to get paid, that kind of thing. So, and it's a rough part of the business that sometimes musicians can get screwed over with, even with like gigs. People will be like, oh, I'm giving you the opportunity for exposure and stuff. It's like, yeah, but I also need to put a roof over my head and, get food and eat, so.
I'm sure every musician or anybody that's in the chat right now has seen that meme where it's a meme where they say, I can't pay my bills, too bad my apartment complex doesn't take exposure or something, so, or exposure bills.
Yeah, I know exactly which meme you're talking about. That's a good meme.
So that's all. Anytime that pops up, and it's usually right around the first of the month. It hasn't popped up so much recently because not too many people are doing much of anything. But so it's just kind of funny. But but once again, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. Where can everybody find your music? Where can they find you online? All that fun stuff.
So yeah, you can on Instagram I'm at AWM Music, Facebook Andrew Marshall Music. My website is awmarshallmusic.com. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Andrew Marshall musics in the world, so I can't just have Andrew Marshall Music or andrewmarshall.com. One day we'll get there. But those are my main platforms. I mean, I'm gonna look out for Twitch. I'm gonna be making an announcement probably next week about doing that. So that'll be Andrew Marshall Music on Twitch, and then Spotify. You can just check me out. Search out Growing Pains, Andrew Marshall, or Letters from Lowell's my first EP too. And I, if anyone has any questions or anything, I'm just like you said earlier, I'm big about talking with other people, collaborating with people, and if anyone needs advice or has questions, I'm nowhere near the perfect musician. I'm still learning a lot too, but I think that it's important to connect with people and kind of point people in the right direction. So I love to talk. So
Gotcha. Well, once again, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to hear all the new music you got coming out. Like once you get back into the studio, start recording that. So we're really excited to hear what you got coming. But once again, thank you so much for jumping on. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super excited as well. I appreciate being on the podcast. So see you guys. Thank you.